this is going to be a continuing segment, basically because making money with your music as a musician or as a songwriter, sometimes it's like, oh, I got to sell albums. I got to sell the music, or like, I got to make it from streaming, or I got to make it from YouTube views. Like, that's the way to do it. And that is not. It just isn't. That's one thing, and it's so small that it couldn't even sustain you even if you had a video with 1 million views. Like, that'd be really nice, but do you know how much money that would actually get you? Not a whole lot. Like, divide 1 million by 1,000. And it's possibly even less than that. So, what we got to start thinking about is ways to diversify our income streams, our revenue streams as musicians. So it's not just the act of, I have a record and I only sell the record, or I only make money from gigs. That's two different ways to make music. So we're going to go through a whole series. I think we'll probably get up to like 120, but we'll be doing like 10 a week. And I think we'll make it like its own specific segment. So we'll still get kind of like, 5 tips for songwriting for dolphins, but this week I started putting it together and I was just like, you know what? This would be a good continuing series segment to have. So this week, 10 ways to make money as a musician, part 1. So the first one, obviously YouTube channel, but share a link to buy your music. The dumbest thing you could do is try and make money. I already said this, but making money just on the views. If you're making that AdSense money, that's nothing. That's pittance. So if you've got a YouTube channel and you've got 100 videos on it of your band playing or different versions of songs that you guys have, like lyric versions and trippy visualizer versions and stuff, where's the link to buy your music? Is it in the description? Is it above the fold? Like, can you get to it and access it without having to like click, the little 3 buttons to bring up more of the description? So you got to monetize a bunch of other things. Make sure that your music is available to get. And YouTube is a promotional tool. It's not necessarily a revenue generator. The idea is that it's an advertisement for your stuff. People find your video, they like your video, and there's a link to buy your music. Now the thing sells the thing. The video sells the album. If someone comes and they're just like, oh, cool, they watch it, and you get like 1/100 of a cent, rock. Or they come and they watch it and they find a link to buy your music and they buy your $150 package that has vinyl and t-shirts and exclusive content. Right? So always have links on all of your things to buy your music. That's number 1. Number 2, obviously this is a little tougher these days, but going on a house concert tour, you don't want to be playing basements and living rooms necessarily, but people have patio parties, get-togethers, barbecues, stuff like that. Being able to set up some kind of situation where you can find people and play house shows. Venues aren't necessarily going to book you when they don't know you and you don't have a draw. So how do you build a following in a city that isn't your own? You got to find these cool places of people, exchange your music, say like, hey, like this is the kind of music we play. We've got some covers and stuff, but also like here's some original stuff. And people will book you. We've done it. It's a lot of fun. People really appreciate it, and you get a bunch of fans out of the situation. There's a few websites. I know one that was kind of up there ended up being kind of shady. So you got to do your due diligence. I will do a bit more research and put a link to a few of these websites that are recommended for finding people who are looking to have bands come and play their house shows. But obviously, given the circumstances, please be very careful. Avoid getting into a situation where you're not social distancing. Make sure it's outside, that kind of thing. But this is still a possibility. You just got to work around it. So, number 3, being awarded grants from government or nonprofit groups. There are people that are really good at writing grants. They know how to write it for you. You can probably, as a musician or songwriter, just post on your Facebook and say, hey, is anybody good at this? And you'll get a few responses. I know a few people that are really good at it. If you want, you can message me and I can talk to them and hook you guys up. Obviously, Canadian and Ontario based, they that's the stuff they know. Rules are different everywhere, but there's usually money just sitting there waiting to be picked up for arts and music and stuff. And if you can prove that this is what I want to do, this is the thing, you have a budget put together. It's like a business plan, but to make art, there's money to fund you for your artistic projects. So you can't just say, I want to make music. You got to show them that, okay, this is specifically for making an album. Here's my money, my itinerary. This is my vision for what I want to do. This is kind of the project, it's this type of music, whatever. And then there's money that's there for you to be able to continue making music and writing music. Number 4, publish a book. It's really not as hard as you think. Oh, what's that? 100 Chord Progression Formulas by Dan Weiss came to show up. This was, making the book took a lot of work. I had to figure out exactly what I was going to do it on. And it's a very hyper niche, weird thing to sell a book on, but the knowledge is there. People are buying it. People really like it. Like being able to flip through, be like, oh, here's a bunch of, white balance is way off. Here's a bunch of chord progressions. There, that's kind of a shot you can see. There we go. I'll just angle it weird. I need a new webcam and I need to carefully adjust the white balance on it. I was struggling with it before. This is always going to be a work in progress, regardless. Oh, I can flip through and find all these chord progressions for every key, and they're written out for me, and I can just play them. Like, what a novel idea. And now I have a book that I'm selling. That's another stream of revenue. So if there's something about music that you can put together, you can write about music theory, helping people out. You can write about, your own experiences, a certain type of music that you're very familiar with. Write something about your instrument, maybe with a weird twist. Like, find a way that you can kind of niche it a bit so that it's not just like Guitar for Dummies. There's 1,000 Guitar for Dummies books besides the official one, and they're just waiting to get sued. But find a way to kind of use your musical knowledge or your experience and publish a book. It doesn't even have to be big. It doesn't even have to be physical. I did that through Kindle Direct Publishing, but you can just make an ebook, post it on your Google Drive, have a specific link for it, and people can pay you to get access to the ebook. Like $9. I'm doing that as well. So that's a way to be a writer. You don't even have to really be a writer. Just put some stuff down, some knowledge, put it in little cute infographics, and you got yourself a book. Whatever you want to write it on, that's your business. Number 5, earning performance royalties. Did you know that playing your music live can get you money, obviously, But besides the actual take that you would get from a cut at the door or your performance payment agreement or whatever, it's a public performance of your work. If you register your work with, in Canada, it's SOCAN. In America, it's either BMI or ASCAP. But when you register your songs, that's a registered original work. So if you wrote that song and it belongs to you and it's being performed in a venue, you get performance royalties, the same as if it was played on radio or television. So you keep track of that. You have, all your set lists for every place you've ever played, and you submit that stuff to your PRO, your performance rights organization, and they keep track of that, and you get a check. So it's a bit of administrative work, but it's a small little stream of income that can come together with all these other streams of income, and it makes a difference. It's better than not collecting it and just you're leaving money on the table. Silly. Number 6, organize a niche music conference. Maybe you're really into left-handed mandolin or playing a modified, what's that thing? It's not a harmonica. It's like a keyboard you blow into. This is going to bug me. But there's a lot of people that love those things. And it's weird and it's niche. Have a virtual conference for people that love to do that. How do you do that? There's a lot of steps that go into it. I'm currently in the planning stages of an online conference for infinite musician mentality stuff. I want to have people, guest speakers. We're going to put on a summit, and hopefully that'll be a few months down the road. But you can attend virtually and watch people's interviews and speak about different musical stuff. So that's something that I'm putting together. What could you do? I mean, you could put on a banjo players conference and find a bunch of people to speak about it, and people would be interested. You advertise, get people to pump it out there, and, sell tickets for attendance, or even have it be free attendance. And if they want permanent access to the videos or some extra stuff, then you charge like $20. There you go. Bit of legwork and planning and organization, but it's another thing that can boost your brand awareness, get some chops for organizing events, which is a big thing. Marketing chops as well. And beyond that, make a bunch of really good contacts and make some moolah while you do it. Another crazy idea, right? Number 7, songwriting and composing for other people or other projects. You're writing music for yourself. Why not try writing for other people? There are tons of music groups, and every day there are hundreds of people asking, can somebody write me this? Somebody write me this. A lot of people are going to expect you to work for free. But, if you do it a few times and you don't have a portfolio yet, maybe you do it a few times just to show and have results with somebody and they're happy, and then you can use that as a reference so that when you do go and try and make some stuff happen, you have testimonials. But songwriting for other people, sometimes there's singers that don't know how to play music. Sometimes there's musicians that don't know how to sing, and you're a singer. You can go out and put that shit together, and now you're collaborating. Or even, this completely blanked. Maybe it's like, we're putting a video together and we need some background music or whatever. You put that together in 20 minutes on your workstation on your computer, and boom, now there's video. Or maybe somebody's looking for something for a documentary or something like that, there's always opportunities that you can be writing music, and obviously, be smart. Don't just give your stuff away. Make sure that you maintain your rights if at all possible, and register your works so that, say you did music for a movie, every time that movie gets played on TV, you collect money for your music being in that movie. Think about it. Number 8, crowdfunding for your next song or your next video. I talked about how we crowdfunded a bunch of money for our album, and it pre-sold the album. So it was the cost of making the album was being pre-sold. Like it just, the actual making of the album was able to be funded by people buying the album in advance, which is amazing. So take that trip, have a bit of a following. Obviously, you can't just post it and hope for the best. There's a lot of really good articles on sites like Indiegogo where they take you through step-by-step processes and how you should organize a launch. There's a lot that goes into it, especially if you want to be successful. But it's better than having no money to put together a music video or record a song or whatever. It's like applying for a grant. You still need to be held accountable, but it's not as like stingy and having a crazy intense business plan. But you need to put those sort of things forward and show exactly what people's money is going for and offer really good things for them to, be incentivized to buy from you. Number 9, acting as a spokesperson for a company. Maybe you really like a certain type of guitars or guitar strings, or maybe you really like a keyboard workstation. You don't have to be super famous. Maybe you just have a really interesting story behind your work. Sell that. Sell you as a musician wanting to talk about stuff that you really like, the gear that you like. Don't just be a whore, just take any money and do soulless advertising just for the sake of money. Look for the gear that you really like using so you are authentically talking about it in a way that's positive. And also, number 10, Adam talked about this in his interview today, busking. Perform on a street corner with a tip jar. It's not, people think of like this subway musician who like bothers people, but in Toronto, you have to audition to play in the subways. There's a program, like in place. You have to be actually good to get out and busk. Hamilton, they fought hard for the right to be able to do it because they tried to consider it panhandling, which even still, panhandling shouldn't be illegal, but that's a different story. But the idea of you can just take your guitar, go downtown and play some songs, and guess what? If you're good, people are happy that you're good. They don't want to be bothered by somebody who sucks. So get your talent out there. People throw bills at you, man. I made like $100 in a day before playing music for like an hour or two. Sometimes you really got to grind, play all day. But if it's a nice day and you got some time on your hands, grab your instrument, even grab a couple friends, put on a little show for people, and they'll respect you for it. So we'll have 10 more next week for you. But I thought that was a good little segment to kind of pull out of the ether. If you want to learn more about any of the topics discussed on today's episode, or if you'd like to expand your horizons so you can make the most amount of impact with your music, please be sure to check us out at mfile.ca.